It's the biggest thing from Japan since the Power Rangers.
Pokemon is now in full mania,
spurring even more Pokemania. It's Pokemania everywhere.
If you guys don't know what Pokemon is, you're in need of some serious remedial toy education.
With the release of Pokemon Red and Blue in 1998 in North America, Pokemon took over the late 90s zeitgeist. Beyond the games, Pokemon had a TV show, trading card games, and endless amounts of merchandise. Back then, you couldn't walk down the aisle of a Target without coming in contact with at least one piece of Pokemon merch. Food, clothes, school supplies, and cologne for children. Pokemon was even in a scene in The Sopranos.
What? Pokemon cards. Me and Tommy Mac are taking down a truckload.
I just heard about they're gonna jack a load of these Pokemon cards.
It seemed as if Pokemania came out of nowhere, a fad from across the Pacific that Americans didn't see coming. In reality, it was a perfect storm of the cute, cool, and collectible. A uniquely Japanese franchise, honed over decades of work and research. Pokemon is a layered, multimedia consumer experience with DNA that spans across several facets of Japanese culture and global consumer technology. A repeatable media cycle that still has the interest of millions over a quarter century later. Today, Pokemon is the largest multimedia franchise on Earth, for good reason. I'm going to be exploring the formula that allowed this to happen, diving deep into the Japanese cultural touchstones like Shonen, Kaiju, Kawaii, Gachapon, digital pets, concepts that eventually hatched into Pokemon. Turn those hats backwards, everybody. This is Dansplaining, Pokemania. Before we get started, I want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me keep making cool content like this. Now, let's get back to the video. We begin our journey in post-World War II Japan. A young but experienced manga artist named Osamu Tezuka is inspired by early Disney movies like Bambi and Snow White, as well as the golden age of American comic books, including Superman, Captain America, and Batman. In 1952, Tezuka, then a medical student, published Ambassador Adam. It included a humanoid robot character named Adam, which Tezuka received numerous letters about. Due to the popularity, Adam was made the main character in a series named Tetsuwan Adam, which ran in Weekly Shonen magazine. The new series and character were a big hit. Adam, who we know in North America as Astro Boy, was the first in a long line of recognizable shonen protagonists. Shonen manga is defined as manga aimed at young boys. A common trope of shonen revolves around an exceptional boy in a world of adventure and action. Astro Boy was the center of the action, the main character who defined main characters for decades to come. Yugimoto, Yusuke Urameshi, Gon Freaks, Goku, Ash Ketchum, all of them have a lot in common with Astro Boy. Most importantly, they give kids someone to relate to. Astro Boy's struggles made kids feel heard. Growing up is everyone's adventure. While it may lack the fantastical elements that manga does, a lot can be learned from Astro Boy, who set a shockwave of manga popularity across the world, where kids are the main character, feeling and experiencing the emotions of the character as the story goes along. No matter who you are, the protagonist is you. Our next talking point came up just a few years later, as something much bigger rose from the ocean. In 1954, the classic epic Godzilla was released, directed and written by Ishiro Honda. The plot follows the sudden appearance of a giant monster whose attacks strike fear for the end of days. The story wasn't an immediate smash hit like you would have thought. It actually was only the 8th highest grossing film in Japan that year, enough to warrant a sequel in 1955. As the years went on, Godzilla's cult fandom continued to grow, whether through innovative special effects, storytelling, or characterization of a monster. Godzilla's real name, Gojira, is a fusion of the Japanese words for gorilla and whale. In a way, this makes Godzilla the perfect monster mascot, holding traits from creatures beyond himself. Clearly, Godzilla takes influence from the American film classic, King Kong. It was only right that as Godzilla's fandom grew, these two monster stars would cross. The same directing, writing, and special effects teams were brought back for 1962's Godzilla vs. King Kong. This combination of two giant monsters, or Kaiju, was a tremendous success, tallying the second highest box office earnings in Japanese history. This exploded kaiju films into a full-blown genre, with Godzilla vs. films coming out almost every year for the next 5 years, featuring other terrifying creatures like Mothra, Ghidorah, Astro Monster, and Ebirah. Clearly Japan and the rest of the world couldn't get enough of these creature features. Godzilla was the perfect central conflict and character. Terrifying, larger than life, but somehow edgy and cool at the same time. Adults and children alike were crazy about Godzilla. By the mid-1960s, Godzilla toys became mass-produced. You could get Godzilla in multiple colors and styles, as well as the rest of the cast of monsters. People wanted to collect the whole gang. Kids created their own battles and stories at home. Adults put them on their desks at work. There was a kaiju figure for everyone. Whenever an inevitable new Godzilla movie dropped, so too did a whole array of new merchandise. The media franchising of Godzilla had begun. Around the same time, Godzilla's cult fandom took off in Japan, mostly around men and boys. His inverse was developing in the same country, from one tiny gift shop. Sanrio was founded by Shintaro Tsuji and was originally known as the Yamanashi Silk Company. They were a shop that specialized in silk and fabric products, eventually expanding to sandals with flowers on them. Tsuji realized the sandals sold way better with cute designs on them. He began to add cartoons and licensed characters like Snoopy to his products. This led him to realize that he could make more money if he developed characters of his own. He hired designers and illustrators to come up with ideas for new, cute characters. In 1973, Sanrio released their first original character, a bear named Koro-chan, to a lukewarm reception. Just 1 year later, lightning struck in the form of a cat with no mouth. Hello Kitty gets her name from Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass and Sanrio's motto, which emphasized social communication, hence the hello. The little British cat was an immediate smash hit. Sanrio soon produced a whole arsenal of products based around her. Hello Kitty, created and illustrated by Yuko Shimizu, first appeared on a vinyl coin purse in 1975. All of this was happening at a time when Japan's economy was doing very well. Tsuji's Sanrio gift-gate stores were booming. Children could buy little gifts for themselves, eventually leading to a new market for toys and accessories. 1970s Japan was where kawaii culture crystallized in the form of cute mascots on products. As time went on, Sanrio realized Hello Kitty wasn't just for children. Teens and young adult women were buying Hello Kitty products as well. Part nostalgia, part fandom. Pop culture had seen cute mascots before. Sanrio had perfected the geometric science of cute. With round and soft features, eyes on the lower third of the head, and no real fingers or toes to be seen. Any child could recognize Hello Kitty and draw her. Her simplicity is her design genius. Sanrio soon created an entire cast of cute characters to join Hello Kitty, including Pochako, Botsmaru, Keroppi, Kuromi, My Melody, and Pom Pom Purin, to name a few. It was Godzilla's strategy for expanding a franchise, but aimed at a different demographic. Where the giant monster was menacing and cool, Hello Kitty was cute and comforting. Different mascots for different tastes. Sanrio was pushing an insane amount of Hello Kitty products. In the 1990s, there were hundreds of Sanrio stores in malls across the globe. Maximalist retail experiences where people were bombarded with thousands of cute products. At Sanrio stores, there really was something for everyone. All of this is a testament to cuteness as a main trait for your mascot. Hello Kitty is friendly and instantly recognizable. You could say she's the original Pikachu. Hello Kitty and Sanrio's brands were built off the idea of small gift, big smile. Something Japanese culture has embraced deeply, especially when it comes to these machines. Gachapon machines date back to urban Japan in the 1960s. The name is an onomatopoeic combination of gacha for the hand cranking sound and pon for the capsule landing in the collection tray. The name Gachapon refers to the machines and the toys inside of them. Today, Gachapon is a registered trademark by Bandai. You've likely seen machines like this in America, in grocery stores and malls. They're normally filled with the cheapest toys imaginable, maybe stickers or even stale candy. Japan has not let these machines go to waste. Their Gachapon machines are generally more expensive and filled with higher quality collectibles. Instead of being a bouncy ball or sticky hand, Japanese Gachapon machines are filled with licensed characters. From anime, manga, video games, and more. The main draw of these machines is that you have no control over what you get. Every crank is a new opportunity for a new toy. For just a tiny bit of money, this is something kids can afford and adults are going to want to do over and over. A little mystery that delivers a small hit of serotonin. Japan is a nation of fandom, starting with the younger demographics. That's why huge entertainment companies like Bandai are so involved in these machines. They essentially drop seasonal capsule collections in the form of actual capsules. Every time there's a new drop, it gives people a new reason to use the machine and keep collecting. Gachapon machines are more than just putting money into a machine and getting a prize. They're a social collecting activity generations have enjoyed. Gachapon machines make collecting social, something typically solitary in America. Japanese entertainment companies saw the profitability of connecting and collecting before their very eyes. In the mid-90s, Bandai began working on their newest product, in the form of little keychain eggs. In November of 1996, Bandai released Tamagotchi in Japan, created by Akihiro Yoki of Wiz and Aki Maita of Bandai. A small handheld digital pet cased in a plastic egg, dangling by a small metal chain. They were the perfect additive accessory for backpacks, pant loops, and cell phones. These digital pets began as eggs and aged through short life stages into full-grown creatures. Tamagotchi were part video game, part digital pet, part collectible. Tamagotchi's name is a portmanteau of the Japanese words egg and watch. Early prototypes of the devices were in watch form, but after an analysis of kids' habits at the time, Bandai decided to make Tamagotchi keychains instead. The 80s and 90s were 2 decades where technology had progressed to a point where it was used for play, and it was inexpensive enough to mass produce at the scale of toys. In 1989, Nintendo released the Game Boy, the first widely popular handheld gaming device. That introduced the masses to playing video games in a much more casual sense. You no longer had to be parked in front of the TV set or computer to play video games. These tiny LCD screens unlocked adventure anywhere, and Tamagotchi was taking that to an even smaller scale, at just 32 by 16 pixels wide. This wasn't as much a game like Tetris or Super Mario as it was a very early life simulator. Tamagotchi gave kids something of their very own to carry around and take care of. With just 3 buttons, kids raise these little monsters through life. You feed them, discipline them, care for them when they're sick. You could even use infrared communication to link with your friends' Tamagotchis. Together you could play games, exchange gifts, and even get married. They're even capable of producing offspring and dying. How realistic. Through all of this, kids can bond with their digital pet, kind of like they could with a real pet, carrying them through their lives, experiencing it all alongside each other. Tamagotchi introduced people to the concept of a digital pet, one you create your own story with, one you raise, heal, feed, and more. And the very next year, Pokemon would take this concept to the next level. Manga created a narrative structure for Pokemon games, shows, and characters. Established Shonen as a genre, where an exceptional child goes on an adventure. Astro Boy is the prototype for Ash Ketchum, Red, Gold, Brendan, May, Dawn, etc. Kaiju, giant monsters capturing people's attention. Toys and products are created around Godzilla. Godzilla is the prototype for Charizard, Tyranitar, Rayquaza, Groudon, and more. Kawaii, cuteness as a mascot for all ages. Properly marketed nostalgia through the decades. Product for every moment and every person. Hello Kitty is the prototype for Pikachu, Pichu, Clefairy, Jigglypuff, and all the starters. Gachapon, capsules that kids and adults can collect and trade with one another. Brings the act of collecting into the social sphere. Gachapon is the prototype for Gotta Catch 'Em All, collecting and trading capsules that literally look like Pokeballs. Tamagotchi, casual video gaming meets digital pets that you raise and evolve. You can link them together with your friends and exchange gifts and more. The fad also occurred the exact year before Pokemon came out in North America. You could say it planted the seed for the idea of digital monsters as pets. Now that we've assembled all of these factors together, it's plain to see why Pokemania took off. Pokemon is a franchise that has taken pieces of each of these uniquely Japanese cultural aspects to create the most profitable media franchise in human history. Elements of Pokemon are all over Japanese pop culture, and it doesn't appear to be going anywhere. The games still sell incredibly well, and fandom online is always buzzing. New collectibles and merchandise are constantly dropping. It's almost like Pokemania never stopped. Through the last 2 decades, we've seen crazy spikes in popularity. Pokemon Go, trading card pack openings, and the proliferation of hundreds of popular Pokemon content creators. All of this is to say, no matter what's going on in the world, people need fantasy. Strong franchises like Pokemon have given millions of people something to look forward to. It's an escape as much as it is simple recreation. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. Please leave a like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Dan, and this has been Dansplaining Pokemania. I'll play you out with some art that I made literally during Pokemania in like the late 90s. All right, see you later.